Let's get started. What I'd like to talk about first is the mechanics of the vocal cords, because if you can understand the mechanics, it may help understand why and which exercises we're going to use and what they do and how they're going to help you progress your talking and your singing voice. So what I found, I was searching the internet and I found some public domain footage of, this is not for the faint of the heart, good people, when you see these clips. It's from the 1950s. It's kind of interesting, but they actually have a camera that they put in this woman's mouth, and we're going to show you this clip coming up in between, and it shows you what happens when sound is emitted through your vocal cords and they come together in and out. So it's like an instrument, it's like a stringed instrument, and controlling your vocal cords when you see this is one of the keys to do it. When I first started, I thought, well, you see these little tiny pop singers that have this amazing, Kelly Clarkson, just amazing voice that just sustains and everything. Well, they must have some superior lung power or born with it or whatever. Sure, a lot of people might have more natural technique, but it's controlling the vocal cords. So now I'm going to show you this little clip from the 1950s, but it goes inside the singer's throat, and you can see how the action is of the vocal cords and what happens. So let's take a look at that right now.
Bless the folk who live within, keep them free and safe from sin. Bless us all that we may.
The human voice, what a wonderful instrument. Man's principal means of communication since time immemorial. We laugh with it, cry with it, work with it, play with it. Yet how little we know about it. This is a larynx in action. The image our eyes have visualized appears deceptively simple, yet how complex on closer study. These cords are vibrating about 300 times a second, too fast for our eyes or for the ordinary motion picture camera to distinguish. The development of ultra-high-speed photography has given us a new picture of these rapid and complex movements. Photographed at approximately 5,000 frames or pictures per second, these vocal cords show the details of laryngeal function in exaggerated slow motion. This technique presents a new medium for laryngeal research and diagnosis. The casual observer sees little of the vigorous activity at the site of voice production. Note the position of the vocal cords deep in the larynx. Here is the airway leading from the lungs to the larynx, and thence via the pharynx, mouth, and nose to the outside. The vocal cords are protected by a firm shell of cartilage and connecting ligaments. The thyroid cartilage pivots on the cricoid cartilage. The epiglottis forms part of the protective mechanism from above. The arytenoids are directly concerned with the abduction and adduction of the vocal cords. In the light of recent observations, the rotatory motion pictured here should be replaced by a smooth lateral glide. The movements of these cartilages are accomplished by a complexity of different muscles. The result of these complex movements can be visualized with the aid of a mirror placed in the pharynx. The image of the larynx is reflected by the mirror to an observer or to a camera. We have chosen this indirect method of observation for our cinematographic studies because it permits visualization of the larynx under normal functional conditions. For the same reason, no local anesthetic has been used. In order to provide a simultaneous record of laryngeal function and voice production, it was necessary to exclude extraneous noises by sound treating our camera. This is a standard motion picture camera. After the patient has moved into position, a number of simultaneous photographs and recordings are obtained. This shows a female larynx producing normal sounds. Action and sound will be reproduced just as eye and ear perceive them. By contrast, here is a male larynx. Again, the voice was recorded while the larynx was photographed.
I want you to get a mental picture. Maybe you don't want to think about this at night because it's kind of scary, but it's you can see the vocal cords and the action of what happens when sound's emitted. So what's interesting too is when we go through these scales and you go through, we package a bunch of scales that you're going to be able to go up and down. It's just like exercising. We need to exercise and be able to close your vocal cords to make the sound be clear and crisp. And that's one of the keys to good quality singing is vocal cord, being able to close those and control those. One of the great things about the CD that we include with this is you can put it in your car. Who isn't stuck in traffic? I actually don't mind when I'm going on the commutes and doing these because I have my vocal CD in there and you can just sing away in the car and you can concentrate and it actually releases stress and tension. But back to the vocal cords, the exercise which we're going to supply with this will basically give you control. It's like doing your push-ups or sit-ups, but it's not as hard as that. It's going through some vocal exercises which are going to make fun and simple. You only have to do it 10 minutes a day or so. But the key is to be able to close and open these vocal cords. And with these exercises, that's one of the key things. You don't have to have a massive amount of breath or scale. We're going to have breathing exercises, but that's not one of the key things. One of the keys of singing that I've found, and I found my latest vocal instructor is... what I've found is one of the keys to progressing your singing is being able to control the amount of air and the closure and opening of your vocal cords, which will make the note sound crisp and clear. And also your speaking and talking voice. It makes it. I don't get hoarse or strained as when I can talk for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours stop. I used to occasionally give speeches, and after the next day I'd be hoarse and. Because you weren't speaking properly, you weren't forming your vowels and consonants and using your instrument. It is an instrument. So once again, let's go, stop. It is an instrument. So hopefully that was kind of entertaining and amusing. Stop. Hopefully you won't get any nightmares from that 1950s clip, but it gives you a good visual representation, so sync that in your mind and think about that when you do these, because again, I'm stressing this very important a bunch of times, but it is very important to be able to open and close and control your vocal cords. And with these exercises that we give you on the CD, 10 minutes a day, you're going to be able to start getting control on this. You're going to start singing like an angel, hopefully, or a rock star.